still trying to find out who I am. And finding out who I am is a constant learning cycle every day. And I feel like I break that feeling by just becoming who I am daily and not falling in the trap of being similar to my coworkers or being similar in how they walk and how they talk. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I first got here, again, coming from no news background, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're looking at other people, you're trying to mimic them, and then there was a time in the beginning of like my first 2 months that I was like looking at myself like, that's not who you are, Danielle. Like, you're being very robotic. You have to break that, and you have to just come into yourself and come into the person that God wants you to be. And once you know who that is, then you can be yourself, and that's breaking your glass ceiling here.
Prior to going to the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in 2019, there was a group chat created. A couple of them. One of them in particular was called Black Journalists Everywhere. And in that group chat, it allowed people to connect from all over the country. Black journalists, whether they was going to the convention or not, just to connect and get to know each other, share stories, share information, critique each other, you name it. My next guest, someone I met through the group chat, and we followed each other on Instagram, and one of the things I noticed about her was a lot of her inspirational quotes. Danielle Martin, ladies and gentlemen, a reporter from Topeka, Kansas, someone I'm having the pleasure of welcoming today. We got a chance to meet finally in person at NABJ. She was on a panel, a discussion asking whether or not you need an agent. For those who do not know, a lot of broadcasters have agents. Agents aren't just reserved for sports, athletes, I should say, or actors and actresses. Broadcasters have agents, somebody who can negotiate their contracts, negotiate their deals. So I spoke to Danielle about her experience as a journalist and her journey. So I'm excited to welcome her on this show. So sit back, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, Danielle Martin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored today to have the one and only Miss Danielle Martin on the line to share her story. Danielle, how you doing today?
Good, Brian. How's it going?
It's great. So we met at NABJ. Obviously, we was in a few group chats beforehand, so we had a chance to kind of know of each other. But I really got a chance to put a name to a face at the conference. I was very excited to have you on. For those who do not know, one day Danielle posts a lot of motivational content, especially scriptures. So if you're on Instagram, you can follow her at Danielle J Martin TV. But I can guarantee you that you'll have a great day because she'll post these things to get your day started. So if you're feeling down, she definitely is the person that can provide you with pick-me-ups. But Danielle, you're a multimedia journalist, right? Is that the correct terminology?
Yes, I am.
Out in Kansas. How is it? Or is it Missouri?
It's great so far.
Kind of close together.
Right. So it's great so far. I just started in August, so I'm only probably like 5 to 6 months in. So I'm not too experienced, but I've gotten so much experience already just being here. I'm specifically in Topeka, Kansas, which is, I know some people who may not know how far that is, but it's probably like an hour away from Kansas City area. So kind of, Huntsville to Houston type of drive. So it's not too far, but I love it so much. I love my coworkers. I love the people here. I know a lot of people always ask me the question of how did I get here out of all places? And I can just go ahead and say, honestly, God put me here. I'm a firm believer in speaking about him because without him, I'm nothing. But I know a lot of people also ask me, you came from sports, like how did you get into news? That's a question I'm trying to ask myself too. Like, I don't know how I got here either. But I think that's why I am purposed to be here, because, when you are uncomfortable with something and you're trying to figure out, like, okay, God, like, I know this is not what I want to do, but you probably have called me to do this. I think that's the main reason why I am supposed to be here, because I don't know how to do anything without him, if that makes sense. So I got I guess, should I just like start the story already, like
Go
how I
ahead.
got here? Okay. So, so what it started was I went to, after NABJ, I graduated, I guess a little background. I graduated in December of 2018 from my master's. And for like a year or so, for probably 10 months, I was out of a job in the news industry. So I was just working at Fox Sports, which is, some people are like, oh, that's really exciting. But I was a video operator. So I wasn't in front of the camera. I wasn't behind the camera. I was actually just working on a computer all day, every day. So it was really discouraging. But in that 10 months, I was doing freelancing for an entertainment station. So that's why some people saw me out, during red carpet events and things like that, because I was doing freelance. So while I'm waiting and applying for jobs, I still want to get my on-camera experience. I did go to school for sports, so I love, the football field aspect. I love the sports aspect. I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to continue down that route. However, again, like, God had a different plan for me. I was still planning to pursue it, and I still am, but I think I had to learn that you can't control things yourself. So once you start doing that, things don't work out. So for 10 months when I was out of a job, I was trying to make things happen. Things weren't happening at all. So I'm going to be really transparent about this. So right before NABJ, I went on this spiritual fast. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to you, like, tell me where to go, like how to move and things like that. And literally everything started to come to me. And I didn't do anything but like just pray and fast. And I know like some people are kind of like, oh, what kind of fast? So if you kind of want to know the deeper level of that, you can always contact me and I'll like, personally tell you. But just to wrap things up a little bit, so that's when I got a call to get put on the panel at NABJ. And so some people were really shocked, just as I was, like, why am I getting put on a panel? Like, who am I? Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like simple things like that you just can't explain or don't have control of. And you just say like, well, honestly, it's just, I'm anointed, I'm blessed. And then I was just given the opportunity and I'm just like, okay, great. Like, here we go. And this was my first NABJ conference. So it was really mind blowing. Then right before NABJ, that's when WBIW reached out to me. I applied for their sports reporter position. The news director comes back and he's like, hey, I know you applied for this position, but it's already taken. Would you be interested in MMJ? I've never done news in my entire life. And so I'm just like, I'm not sure. Let me just pray on it. So 2 weeks go by and something in me just told me to check my email again. He reached out again and I just said, okay, let me just see what this position is about. So I talked to him within the first phone call. Not many people are aware, but not all news stations are comfortable with flying you out, especially with smaller stations. Some people don't, some stations don't have the expenses for it. But for me personally, I've been in Houston my whole life, and I said, I'm not moving to another state unless I visit the station. So first phone call with my news director. I feel like he already knew that he wanted me from the beginning, which is another reason why I say pay attention to when you apply for jobs. If the news director wants you more, then that's a good thing. If you're, going after them and you're trying to, strap them down and stuff like that, like maybe that's not the job for you. Like you shouldn't be hunting them down. They understand that you need a job, but you should always want a news director to want you more. So first phone call, he said automatically, give me your schedule. We want to fly you out here. We want to show you what this is all about. I said, okay. So I went out there, fell in love with the area, with the news station. I'm like, okay, for this to be a starter station, this is all I need. And so still, I did not understand why Topeka, Kansas. Like, I don't understand. I have all places. Like, I don't know anyone here. I don't have any connection here. But I also felt like that was the more reason why I was called to be there, so I can get closer to God. So that's a whole other aspect. But as far as the business area, I accepted before I went to NABJ. So I accepted, the contract was already in place. Go out to NABJ, met so many phenomenal people, professionals. Everyone in the industry was like, it was phenomenal. That was my first NABJ. It was the best experience I've ever had. I got so many connections. And from there, I just felt like it kind of set me up and got me more motivation to come here and just strut out. So that's kind of like the fast version of like how I got here. And so also a little more background is within the first 5 months of being here, I learned so much, and I've been given countless opportunities that still I cannot even imagine. So that just, again, going back to my point, when you don't understand why you are called to a certain place, maybe you should just pray and try to figure out like, okay, I don't understand why I'm supposed to be here, but I know that there's a purpose for me to be here. And with that, I feel like it's just everything is just perfect in the way that it's supposed to be.
That's amazing. So I knew I didn't know it was you had accepted the position before NABJ. Did you
Yeah.
have to
Hmm.
did you let them know for people out there who may be hesitant to apply for positions before going to NABJ or scared that
Hmm.
when they get the position it's going to prevent them from going on a trip? Did you let them know
Right.
that you had the convention coming up?
Yes, I did. So I did let them know, like, okay, I want to accept this position, but also I can't start until after this date. And so they were willing to work with me. Again, hence they want me more. You're gonna have to just wait until I can, I'm available to actually start. So they were able to work around that schedule. They really wanted me out there fast, but I still needed time. I had to, get my lease in order, all that stuff, like all that stuff of moving. It was really expensive, and that's when I was just so like, okay, in disbelief, how is this going to work? But again, I just had the faith to know that, okay, everything's going to work in the way it's supposed to, and it did. But to answer the question, as far as a lot of people kind of question too, like, okay, why did you accept the position before going to NABJ? And I was waiting on doing that, but something just told me that this is just for me. And I felt like it would have been a slap in God's face if I said, okay, you know what, this is not good enough. Let me go see what NABJ has for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, and then also I just felt more secure going into NABJ, just with stress relief. I can just have fun. I can network. And I'm glad I did it that way because I didn't feel so much pressure, but I still did all the interviews. I still did, all of the, what's it called when you go into the booths and stuff,
Like
what is
the
it called?
critique sessions?
Yeah, the critique sessions and all that, and the sessions and things like that. So I did all of that, and I got feedback and everything, and everyone said good things. I took note of that. So when going into this new job of mine, I know, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to get better of. And so there is a company that I still feel firm that I want to connect with in the future. And so I still went into an ABJ, like going after them, like, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be. And I was really open with it. And I think that's what made a lot of companies like respect me and kind of look at me like, wow, okay, like even though you just started, we still are interested in your journey. So I think it's really just important for a lot of people to just be straightforward sometimes. I know sometimes you just can't like put all your business out like that, but just depending on the company, what I'm saying, like it's okay to just go to them and say, I've already accepted an offer, but I'm here to get critiques. I'm here to hear what you have to say. And then also I want to, exchange contact so we can stay in connection on the way, like on my journey and things in that area. So I think it all worked out.
I'm so happy you said that because a lot of up and coming journalists listen to this show, and
Mhm.
you're somebody who they can relate to. I mean, you're essentially giving them the cheat codes because you're letting them know, be honest, be
Mhm.
transparent, and
Mhm.
most importantly, trust in God. Now, I know a lot of times people tend not to go into the spiritual or religion talk. Look, you and I have talked. We both believe in
Mhm.
God, so this
Yeah.
is my show. We're gonna talk about it,
Right.
and
Exactly.
I'm, you're a living proof of what the good Lord can do for you, and if
Mhm.
you be faithful to Him, He be faithful to you, and clearly
Mhm.
you're a reflection of that. So, I'm proud to say, that I know you, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank
What
you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. In the beginning, what was it about journalism that and particularly let's say sports that made you want to get
Mhm.
into it and pursue this as a career?
I've always wanted to be that person to tell someone's story, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who don't have the courage to tell their own story. And I've always been a dramatic person. So I think that just goes hand in hand. Like, let me tell your story for you. And let me tell the audience why this is important, because this is why you should listen, and let them see it in a different point of view, because I feel like everyone's story is important. Everyone has a story to tell, and not everyone has the voice for it. So if I can be that voice, let me be that voice for you. But not only that, but let God be the voice for me to speak out. And then also, I've always been interested in writing. I've always was a writer when I was young. I would journal like all the time. I think sports came hand in hand because I was a cheerleader my whole life. I loved the game. I loved being on the field. And I was literally that crazy cheerleader who was, people would say, like, you're not the cheerleader, you're the coach, because I would be yelling at the team, like, what are you doing? Like, things like that. So I think being a sports reporter was just like, okay, I love the game. I love what I'm talking about. And it's just easy. You don't have to be so restricted to say certain things and talk a certain way, which is why, I didn't really look into news in that aspect, because back then in college, they made news a formula. And I feel like sometimes they kind of still do that. They're like, you have to look this way, you have to talk this way. And that's what I kind of also wanted to talk about, on how I'm trying to break that feeling. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to look and talk a certain way, because we are in the 21st century, okay? Like, things are changing all the time. So I feel that, as long as you know who you are, and you know how to, portray someone's story, that's all that matters. It doesn't mean like you have to say it a certain way or speak a certain way. Like, just be you, simply you. And so, just to answer your question though, I've always just been a storyteller, a writer. I've always just been so intrigued. And also too, just to be honest, Brian, I'm really nosy. Okay. So I think that just makes it so much better. I'm nosy, I'm curious minded, and you can like see me talk to a stranger for 5 minutes, and by the end of that conversation, I know their entire story, because I'm just so intrigued. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like there's a story in everyone. So if I can be that voice for them, then let me be so.
I think that's what brings a lot of us together in this business, because we are nosy people, and people. I think some people are just scared to admit it. I'll be the first to admit right here. My godmother is probably one of the nosiest people in church, and I've always said
Mhm.
she should have been a journalist because
Mhm.
she will do the same thing. She will go, and it's with, she has a big heart, but my goodness, she's
Yeah.
nosy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we talked about NABJ. One of the opportunities you had was an opportunity to go out to lunch with Taylor Rooks. Can you talk about that
Oh my
experience?
God. Yes. Yeah. See, okay, I totally forgot about that too. See, so I got called to be on a panel, and then I got called to be on, selected to have lunch with Taylor Rooks. Out of all people, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like little things like that would happen throughout the conference, and I'm like, why? Like, why me, God? Like, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes you just say, okay, like, this is your way, great. So, it was phenomenal. So everything and how she is portrayed is exactly how she is. She is very authentic. She's very real. She's not one of those, what do you call people say, like, catfish, you know what I'm saying? Like, on social
Hmm.
media, she's not one of those. Like, how she's portrayed on social media is how she really is in person. And I just learned so much from her charisma, from her story, and how open she is. And I love that. I feel like sometimes, when you get put on a certain status, you can't be as real anymore. And it's like, no, that's another thing that I said I will never do, is I will never let my status like control how I will treat other people and be so closed off. Like, I understand to a certain extent, but it's like young journalists look up to a lot of people like her, and like Maria Taylor, you can't just be closed off when you have that type of status, especially when young people like myself look up to that role. So at lunch, she was very open with all of us. She was very transparent. And at the end of the lunch, she gave all of us her personal number. So no, you cannot have it. But I'm just saying, like, that's how transparent she was. And it's just like, it was just so dope. Like, I think that was the best way I can explain it. It was so dope. And we talked for hours. The lunch went longer than what we expected. But I love everything about her. And she kind of surprised me in a lot of areas just as far as her journey, but she was very open as far as being a female minority in this industry. You have to work your ass off because people look at you. I mean, it's so cliche, but it's true. And she deals with it all the time, being a female minority, pretty individual and trying to, show that you know more than what you look like is what we deal with daily. And she still deals with that every day. And she was very transparent about it. And I respected that to all the levels because I think sometimes we kind of forget or kind of look at people with high status like, oh, they just have it all. It's so easy for them. Like, no, she like made it very clear that she fights a battle every single day, and that is being herself and trying to break that glass ceiling of thinking that, just because she's a female and she's pretty, she doesn't know anything. So, yeah, she was very open about that. Even on social media, she was known for social media, and she was just saying that she constantly gets, messages, just people trying to like come at her and try to make her break. And she even said to us that sometimes you have to just look at a comment and just be like, okay, whatever, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. You don't have to respond to every single comment. Because, us as a journalist, we get so much feedback, and you think that you have to respond to everything, and you don't. And even being in a small market, we get that all the time, like, feedback and people trying to say nasty things. You have to really learn to ignore that and just look at it and be like, you know what, have a blessed day, okay? Because I am too. So you just gotta laugh it off.
Would you say that lunch kind of helped you prepare for what was to come in dealing with things like that in a small market?
I think most definitely. I think I learned so much from not even just her, but all the young women around me. We all came from all walks of life. We all shared our story, and we still stay in contact to this day. We'll talk like time to time occasionally, but I definitely believe so. I definitely believe anyone who I've talked to in the industry always prepares me for what's yet to come. So I always just take any journalist I talk to, I always just take that moment in because we are all here to help each other, and it's not easy. There's a lot of people, only being 5 months in, there's a lot of some of my coworkers who have, drifted off to other industries. They don't want to be a reporter anymore. So sometimes that kind of gets discouraging because it's like, well, dang, am I going to be like that too? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I know I'm not because I'm just so passionate for it. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes the first, market for some people, it drives them away to like PR or just out of the business. And so it kind of just, you have to remind yourself of your goal every day. So.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so the title of the show is called Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling. What
Okay.
was the moment you broke through the glass ceiling?
The moment I broke through the glass ceiling, I would say, like within the time I've been in my job, right?
Either way.
Or just either way.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I feel like I am still in the process of doing that.
Okay.
And I say that because not because because I'm fresh, but also because I'm still trying to find out who I am. And finding out who I am is a constant learning cycle every day. And I feel like I break that ceiling by just becoming who I am daily and not falling in the trap of being similar to my coworkers or being similar in how they walk and how they talk. Because I'm not going to lie, when I first got here, again, coming from no news background, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're looking at other people, you're trying to mimic them. And then there was a time in the beginning of like my first 2 months that I was looking at myself like, that's not who you are, Danielle. Like, you're being very robotic. You have to break that, and you have to just come into yourself and come into the person that God wants you to be. And once you know who that is, then you can be yourself, and that's breaking your glass ceiling here. because being in the small market here, especially here, they're very traditional. They've been here for years. So, walking and talking and doing everything and how they want you to do it is so traditional. And so one thing I said for myself is I'm going to break that. Whatever this tradition is, we're not going to do that anymore. Not in the sense of like going, rebelling against the station, but I'm just saying as far as how the station comes off, how we appear, how we allow ourselves to be portrayed to our viewers. And so just simply too, having the opportunity to anchor 4 or 5 months in, it's like, wow, I've had so many viewers just reach out to me and be like, when are you going to be on TV again? Like, we like your style. We like this. And it's like, I wasn't expecting that. And I was really scared out of my mind. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you just go into who you really are and you portray that, that's when you get the feedback that God wants you to receive, which is, wow, I like her. I like the way she does things. And that's simply just being me. So yes, I do believe that I'm still in the process of breaking that glass ceiling, but there's so much stuff that I want to reach and accomplish here. And I feel like everyone will see that when that time comes. But I can't speak on it just yet, but it will come. So
Well,
let's just say that.
I'm definitely going to encourage you to keep pushing through. Before we wrap up, I gotta talk to you about this because there's
Oh
one
gosh.
event that I wish I hate to say it this way, but I wish you wasn't
Huh.
covering.
What?
And I
what
think you
what
may
is
know where I'm
it?
going with this. The
Okay.
American
But
Football Conference Championship game. Because I
oh my
let me correct
gosh.
myself. Let me correct myself. I wish
Okay,
you
okay.
didn't cover it at home. I wish they had put you on the road, on the plane to Baltimore, where the game was
Oh,
supposed to be
okay.
played,
Right, right.
and then we could have
Mhm.
linked up and saw each other. But nonetheless,
Oh my gosh.
nonetheless,
Oh
you
my
had the opportunity first and foremost. So,
gosh. Yes.
what was it like to have to? You got Houston and you got Kansas City.
Oh my God. Okay, so I am a Texans fan. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it was very interesting. Let's just say that. So that was another opportunity that I had. I didn't get, what's it called, like selected for it. We had to, I mean, I did get selected for it, but I'm saying we had to like try out for it and stuff like that. And so I was one of the people who got selected. So it was phenomenal. I'm like, oh my God, great. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anytime I get to do sports, I am like off the roof. And so, yeah, Houston and the Chiefs, it was very uncomfortable. However, I had to remind myself, like, Danielle, you are here for a job. You have to put those feelings aside. But I'm not gonna lie, like when I was out there tailgating and things like that, I would go up to like my Houston family and I'd be like, hey, by the way, I'm really from Houston. And so like we would have like a quick connection there and we would like take pictures and stuff. And so it was really fun. But once I would like interview some Chiefs fans, they would always just ask me, they can tell when you're not from here. And so they'll ask, like, oh, where are you from? And I'll say Houston. They're like, oh my gosh, like, get off our territory. And so, but it would be like so funny.
Hmm.
But it was a really good time. I'm not gonna lie. Like Sunday, the game that just happened, the AFC Championship, was the best game we've ever covered. The people out here, I'm not gonna lie, like Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, they have the best fans. And I say that because they're very nice, they're very open, and they open with open arms. Like they come and they give you hand warmers, food. They're just very sweet, and like their hospitality here, you can't find it anywhere else. And I'm not saying like Houston's not like that at all, but I'm just saying it's a different atmosphere. Like yeah, they're crazy, they're fun, but they also have like humility and they're very open and humble and just very sweet. Like I love their hospitality here. We had a really good time. It was freezing. Okay, so let me just say I'm very transparent. I'm not used to this cold, okay? So we're just going to pray in the name of Jesus that my next station is not cold. You know what I'm saying? Because I cannot do this Kansas City weather. Like, I just can't. It's too freezing out here. It was like less than 10 degrees. So it was a different experience. Let's just say that. But honestly, what keeps my motivation and everything going. It's just the people around me. And then like my coworker, Marlia, we just had a great time. Like the people around you, when you remind yourself like where you are and when you get, wrapped up in the moment, nothing else matters. Like I don't think I really checked my phone. Like a lot of people will be like texting me and stuff like that, and I'll be on social media and things like that. But mainly I'm just in that moment because I can't get that moment back. And so just knowing that, Danielle, you have only been here for 5 months and like look where you are. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think it's still hit me yet. But it's like I go back and I look at my footage, I look at that moment, and I'm just like, wow, this is unforgettable. And to know that that day, like, they won after 50 years. So, you know what I'm saying? So the atmosphere was unforgettable. It was unforgettable. And honestly, too, I just said like, okay, it would have been nice to see like the Texans advance, and I was really really cheering for them. But at the same time, it was really nice to see like, okay, the Kansas City Chiefs won, so we get to be back here next Sunday. So, and it's like tailgating and doing all those, like, I love football. So being out there, it was really fun, and I'm not gonna lie. I said, okay, yes, I get to be be back out here again. And so you get to do the live truck. You get to be literally just on the road editing your scripts. It's a different experience. I'm not gonna lie. It's nothing like being in studio trying to get your script done. Being on the road, it's like it's a hustle. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be focused. You have to be ready to go. You have to, whatever flies at you, programming. You don't know if your show's gonna be on. So you have to get your stuff and your scripts in before you're getting ready for your live shot. You don't even know again, but until like 5 minutes before the show and until you go on. So it's crazy, but it's also exciting, and like the adrenaline and just being in that moment, it's honestly unforgettable. So I honestly recommend to anyone, if you ever have an opportunity to cover any football tailgating, like, go ahead and do that because you will be blown away. So it was
Wow.
a great
So
experience.
all right. So now you know what? Now I feel better. Um, if the Ravens wasn't going to win the Super Bowl, you might as well go out as soon as you can because the pain just gonna be
I
worse as
mean,
you get there, and you got an opportunity to cover. So since one of my friends got the
yeah.
opportunity to cover, I feel better.
I mean, it was great. It was great. I know.
I'll be
I
honest
got.
with you. Hmm.
And I was gonna say I got a lot of my family, even just like messaging me like, "So you're a trainer now?" I'm like, "Look, I am doing my job, okay? Like, come on." I said, "We will go to the Super Bowl. I still believe to this day the Texans will have their moment, and I will be there for it. But until then, I'm over here on the other side, okay? I just have to be a fan for a day."
There you go. Hopefully, but if home is your desire to get back there to be a sports reporter for Houston, then hopefully when they do get their moment, you'll be right there front and center.
Oh yes, I believe so. I will go to the Super Bowl one day. I know that's for sure.
There you go. All right. So before I let you go, let the people know where they can follow you, and if there's anything else, any type of advice you want to relay to the listening audience, feel free.
Okay, so first I will say my advice that I want to give to people. Um, Never be afraid to ask questions. I know I'm a firm believer to say that I don't know everything. I don't know. I'm first to say I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm going to go ask questions, whether it's to your mentor, whether it's to your colleagues or anyone around you. Do not be afraid to ask questions. My next advice is always continue to be yourself. Do not be anyone else. When you see that you are being someone else, it's not authentic, and people can see right through you. A lot of viewers and a lot of people around you, the community, will respect you so much more if you are simply yourself. I know it's hard to say that and it's cliche in the world that we live in, but if you just see that being yourself is the best person that you could ever be, you will reach millions of people across that TV. Another thing that I would say is constantly um, be in the moment. I know I tell you, Brian, all the time, but when you're not in the moment, you kind of, and you're thinking about what's next, you get lost, and then you kind of try to go back to that moment, and the next thing you know, that moment is gone. Being in that moment is the best thing that you can ever do because you can't get it back, and you want to remind yourself of it. And when you do, it will be the most beautiful thing ever. And always journal. Like, journal your experiences. Remember how that day made you feel. Remember what that day didn't do for you, so you can always progress, so you can always get better. Again, always challenge yourself to do more and not settle for what is given to you. And I say that because when I first got in here, I thought it was okay to just do what my job required. But then one day I woke up and I said, no, I know I can do more. I know I can challenge myself. And even when it's uncomfortable, it's okay. Like, just know it's going to be okay. And then my other advice would be, if you mess up, oh my God, in this industry, it is okay by the next day. People do not care. People do not remember what the hell you did the day before. So if you mess up, just laugh about it, go home and cry about it, and then the next day come in there and be a badass. So just remember, if you mess up, it's going to be okay. It's going to be great. But then also you have the next opportunity to be better. And I think that's what I actually love about this job, is that if you mess up today, tomorrow, like, people forgot about it. Like, they might remember, but honestly they're focused on, okay, what's your next assignment. So just remember that if you mess up, it's going to be great. And take those mess ups in, like, you know what I'm saying, like, jot down all of your blooper moments and just take it in, laugh about it, because you're going to need a blooper reel. I always tell people, like, keep your blooper stuff, because you need to make a blooper reel so you can laugh at yourself. It's going to be funny. It's going to be great. And then you can follow me on all socials at Danielle J Martin, which is, my first name is Danielle, and my middle name is Jayy, and then Martin TV. And I believe my Twitter is Danny J Martin TV, I believe. Am I correct, Brian?
You said, yeah.
Let me see. I'm like, am I correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm like, am I correct? Yeah. I'm like,
yeah, I have it up.
So. Okay, great. I wanted to say something else too, but
You have a Facebook fan page? Did you drop the Facebook fan page?
Oh, my Facebook page is just my name, Danielle J Martin,
Okay.
like, spelled out. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, Danielle, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling. As I said earlier, I'm just happy for you, proud of you, and I'm very excited to see what's next. And, I'm looking forward. Are you going to be in DC for NABJ, NAHJ?
I am thinking about it. Most definitely will be, yes.
Okay.
Right now, I'm trying to convince my friend to come with me, but more than likely I will be. My goal is honestly to try to go every year, especially in Houston. Everyone needs to come to that one. That's going to be so lit. But
yeah, I've never been to Houston, so I have to be there.
Oh, you have to come. Oh no, you have to come.
Yeah, I think there may actually be a medical conference coming up in Houston that I might have to attend. I'll definitely let you know, because I'll need to know where the best spot's at.
Oh, I got you. I got all the spots. I got all the restaurants. Like, Houston is home. I love it. It's going to be great. It really is. So.
Yeah, and DC is right down the street from Baltimore. So if y'all want to get if y'all want to get a real chicken box or crab cakes, then it's only about an hour away.
An hour? Okay.
It's not that bad. It's just straight up $2.95. It's not that bad at all.
You say it like it's nothing. But I've actually never been to DC or Baltimore, so I really do want to go. Yes, I have to.
Yeah, you're missing out. Well, the thing is, so DC has they got good food, but I wouldn't get a crab cake from there. Now, people from DC may try to tell you different, but no, never get a crab cake from DC. If anywhere, Delaware, yeah, but not DC, because it won't be the same.
Oh my God. Oh, actually, okay. I do remember what I was going to say for my last piece of advice. Can I say it?
Go ahead.
Okay. So for my last piece of advice, I was just going to say to always tell yourself that you're doing a good job. So I know a lot of people are very hard on themselves and they don't see the growth in themselves. And I'm one of those, so I can attest to that. But you have to sometimes look at yourself and be like, wow, like, I have came a long way. From my first month to my 5th month, there is a huge difference. And so for a while, I would look at myself and I would be frustrated. And every story I would do, I'd be like, I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, I don't want to post this. Da, da, da. And I had to just look at myself and be like, you're not going to be perfect right now. Like, you're really not. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not even a year in. You're not even past your first market. So you have to just pat yourself on the back and you have to say, wow, like, I did a good job today. I have been doing a good job. I am going to get better, and I am getting better right now. So you have to sometimes look at yourself and compliment yourself and say you are doing a good job.
All right, you've heard what she said, folks. So make sure you make sure you're telling yourself you're doing a good job. You have to be you can be your own worst critic, but you also have to be your own biggest cheerleader. So make sure you
Yes,
do that.
sir.
Danielle, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it.
I enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise. Wow, folks. Hope you enjoyed this show. I don't see where you wouldn't. Danielle dropped so much knowledge, and she gave a lot of inspirational quotes and a lot of motivation. So to my students out there who are looking to become multimedia journalists, she is someone you want to connect with. I can promise you that. But coming up next, I have a special edition. Most of my episodes are timeless. You can go back and listen to them at any given time. This next episode, I welcome in the one and only Deontay Riddick of the gospel group New Direction. I told you I was going to step out of the journalism world eventually. Deontay is someone that I watched grow up in the music industry. And for some of you may know that I am a church drummer. I played gospel quartet for over 15 years. I played in the church for over 20 years. Deontay is somebody who I watched when he was essentially a teenager, and now he's a lead singer for his own group. The shout out to my Uncle Troy, who's one of the producers. Well, the reason why this is a timely episode and a special edition is because New Direction will be releasing an album, and during this release they're having a CD release event. So I wanted to make sure I got him on so that he can plug this event coming up. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure you get ready to tune in to the next episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Brian H., where I welcome in New Direction's own Deontay Riddick. This podcast is brought to you by B. Waters Productions. It is produced and edited by myself, Brian H. Waters, with the music brought to you by Hypnosis. You can find Hypnosis on Instagram at hypno_beats.